Well, hi, it's Larry Nimmer. I'm driving home from Los Angeles to Carpinteria, where I live, which is about an hour and 15 minutes north of LA. And I'm not going to the trial every day, but I'm going most days. I do have a life. And but on this report, I'm just going to play a clip. It's about 7 minutes of a guy I interviewed at the court, who I had also interviewed outside Neverland. He has an interesting story, and I don't really know anything one way or the other about it, but I encourage you to look into it if you feel like it.
Demand the DA return our stolen children. Demand the DA return our stolen children. Down with DCFS.
Hey, so hi.
Hi.
We just ran into each other.
Yes.
Tell me, remind me, what's the story?
Well, as you probably may recall, my son did a documentary that my son was featured in back in 2009.
Yeah, it was a YouTube video, as I recall.
Yes, it was a Michael Jackson tribute video 2 days after the tragic death of Mr. Jackson. And it was my son documenting the events where he witnessed seeing Michael Jackson flying through the sky 2 days after the death. It was very tragic. Yes, but what has happened now is after my son was featured in that video of yours, we were then visited probably about a couple months later, less than a year later, we were visited by a DCFS worker by the name of Marilyn Hiles and two police officers, Canales and Alfaro. They kidnapped my son. The DCFS worker said she was there because someone made a call about my son being in the car with somebody driving erratic. My son was not in the car with anybody driving erratic. I made that phone call to my friend's social worker to let him know that he was driving kind of excitedly. And she said there was no reason for her to stay, that she was going to leave, and she was leaving. As she was leaving, I asked her what was wrong, why she was there and harassing me for so long. She was there for 2 hours. She said she didn't like my attitude. I asked her, was it my Chicago accent or my Egyptian accent? She told me she didn't like anything about me, the way I talked or anything, and she liked my friend better than me. I said, okay, then you could leave. She went to leave. As she was leaving, she said, bye. I said, bye. She says, I don't like his attitude, take the kid. The cops don't ask me to put down my son. They rush towards me, I pick up my son, I give him a kiss on his head, and the last thing you hear in the recording and the transcripts that we have is, Dad, help me. Then they smash my head into my dining room wall, knocking me out conscious immediately. They don't ask me to put down my son or anything. I wake up to helicopters and my son screaming out my name. I'm then taken down to the hospital and given 3 CAT scans. I'm visited by a sergeant that opens up an excessive force investigation against these 2 officers, Canales and Alfaro, who nearly killed me because they didn't like my race or my parents' country of origin or my accent. I don't know.
You're from Egypt? I like Egypt.
Yes, yes. Egypt's a great country. I apologized to the DCFS worker that my family was there and I took my son there in 2008. It's a great place. They told me I would get my son back the next day. This happened on April 21st, 2010. I've still not gotten my son back. I've not seen my son in 9 months. They put my son in foster homes for the first 6 months and saying that there was no reason for my son to be taken. Even the DCFS worker that took my son was fired. She was removed from DCFS. She testified because wrongfully taking my son, but my son has not been returned. The head of DCFS, Trish Flowen, has been removed. She was removed in November because of my case. I met with Antonia Jimenez by request of Mike Antonovich in January at the Board of Supervisors meeting. I showed her the information on where my son was currently at, and she was horrified. She took copies of all my documents and said my son would be returned back to me immediately. She was then asked to sign a contract not to speak about my case publicly and help me get my son back, so she stepped down from DCFS in January. A new head of DCFS, Jackie Contreras, was then put in place. I've tried to set up numerous meetings with Ms. Contreras. They have then set up a spokesperson for DCFS by the name of Aldo Marin. He needs to be removed immediately from DCFS. He is the person they put in front of the heads of DCFS now who are trying to run DCFS to keep from returning the children who have been wrongfully taken and to keep them from speaking out about the children who have already died. Just like my son has been put in a place where he may not survive another day or another minute, he needs to be returned immediately. I had a long meeting with District Attorney James Garrison here at the court building. He is on the 17th and 18th floor at the DA's office. He is head of the integrity unit here with the district attorney's office. He is looking into my matter, and I demand that we all contact our district attorney, Steve Cooley, and ask that he put these 2 officers in prison, along with the DCFS workers who have fought to keep my son wrongfully captive. I demand my son's return today. I demand that if my son not be returned today, that they will have to put bullets in me to stop me from getting my son. I'd like to show you my sign so you can make sure you have all my information. All you need to do is Google my name. Yes, please. All you need to do is Google my name, Nagi Elhadary, N-A-G-I, last name Elhadary, E-L-H-A-D-A-R-Y. Google that, space DCFS. My phone number is 323-608-8227. Please contact me. Yes.
Remind me, what does this have to do with Michael Jackson?
Well, my son was at the Michael Jackson home in Encino on June 27th, 2009. We had just finished spending a long day at Venice Beach. Me, my son, and a friend of mine, we then wanted to pay our respects to Mr. Michael Jackson.
And I ran into you there, right?
Yes, I ran into you there.
At the Havenhurst home?
Yes, I ran into you and Miss Christina Strasberg there in front of the Havenhurst home in Encino.
Christina Strasberg was shooting too.
Yes.
And is that something about the video I saw?
Yes, this gives a little information on how you could go to YouTube and find the video. It is the Michael Jackson tribute video done by Larry Nimmer and Christina Strasberg of Girl Man Media. And please look up the video. My son comes in at 5 minutes, 20 seconds. You can see the interview with my son, but right before he was kidnapped. This may be part of why the reason he was kidnapped. They like to kidnap children that are special and that are very cute. Let me show you again a picture of my son. Please, we must all work together to fight for my son's return and the rest of the kidnapped children that have been kidnapped here in California.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please help me and work with me in getting my son back. God bless you. Thank you.
So you'll be able to search your name within like a few days, and hopefully that video will come up. So I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you. Please send it to everybody you can. I met with a member of the Jackson family here on Friday. Her name is Sharon. She put me in touch with a man by the name of William Wagner. He has a show called On Second Thought. TV. Mr. Wagner contacted me this weekend and he wants me to be there in Santa Maria this Friday live for a 45-minute live interview regarding the kidnapping of my son. Please work with me in fighting and getting my son back and getting back the rest of these kidnapped children. Thank God and Godspeed.
William Wagner has good hats too.
Okay. You'll see him this Friday coming up. Please return our children. Demand the DA return our kidnapped children. Demand justice for Tino and justice for Michael. Justice for Tino. Justice for Michael. Return our stolen children.